man's testicles can manufacture up to 10 million sperm cells daily. So I am going to talk about heating and cooling today because that's what I do. I'm a general mechanical contractor, licensed electrician, plumber, and HVAC, and I do that for a living. And I teach people online how to do that too. I'm going to write up my channel so you can look. If you want to learn about HVAC, you want to learn about aquaponics, I do that. I've got some jalapenos. I dare you to eat one. They're super hot. Who here has an air conditioner? Okay, I want to know who doesn't then. Who doesn't have an air conditioner? Nobody? Okay, all right. Who's seen John live stream? Okay, who has seen John live stream at 4 in the morning? Okay, who's here has ever thought to themselves, does John sleep? Okay, just curious. Okay, so before I start with heating and cooling, I have this little piece of paper, and it's actually about each one of you. It teaches you about something, about yourself, something you might not know. So, give me just a minute here. And before I start, I just want to say, the wonderful mechanism of the human body does not receive half of the care that is often given to a mere lifeless machine. The wonderful mechanism of the human body does not receive half of the care that is often given to a mere lifeless machine. Think about that for a second. So, this vehicle, the human body, is by far the most complicated piece of machinery in existence on Earth. And here are a few amazing facts about the magnificent machinery you possess. This is pretty awesome. So it says, ounce for ounce, human bone is stronger than granite or steel, yet it weighs 3 times less. It says, the brain produces electrical energy equivalent to a 20-watt light bulb, which would explain the comparison of a lit light bulb over our heads when we have a great epiphany. You would need 82,000 processors for a supercomputer to simulate just 1 second of 1% of our brain's capacity. It's amazing. All right, I'm going to skip that one. Now this is really nice. A man's testicles can manufacture up to 10 million sperm cells daily. I just wanted to include that. I didn't have to, but I was like, okay, so check this out, okay? To add to that and make it not so funny, it's still probably funny, which makes a man capable of repopulating the entire Earth or planet in 6 months. Okay, don't waste that. All right? Don't waste it. All right? It says, the human body is made of 7 octillion atoms. As a comparison, our entire galaxy is made up of only 300 billion stars. That's amazing. It says 90% of our cells aren't even human in origin. Most are fungi and bacteria. The skin is replaced every 2 weeks. Now this is where it gets amazing. Every 120 days, our entire blood supply is replaced. Did you know that? Did anybody know that? It says every 300 days, through the brilliance of our divine engineering, we have a new liver. Less than 1 year, you produce a new liver. Do you know that? That's why you can drink every night, tons of gallons of alcohol, and you wonder why your liver doesn't fail. It says every 10 years, we get an entirely new skeletal system. Did you know that? 10 years. Okay, so we'll start eating there now. But I wanted to give you something that was going to give you power, because this is all about empowering each other. What Nicole said was amazing. Everybody's got value here. You just got to figure out where it's at. You just got to start doing shit. Do cool shit. John told me, and one thing John said that I really like is, he said, Tad, if somebody's got a problem with you, and I say it to you, if somebody's got a problem with you, the way you live, what you do, it's not a problem with you. It's a problem with them. And he always says that, and I love that. That's why I want to start that. But heating and cooling, we're going to talk about heating and cooling today. Everybody's got air conditioners. I'm going to give you tools for you to be able to figure out if your cooling is working. I'm also going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about mini splits. Anybody have a mini split? Okay, so people have mini splits. Mini splits use VFD, variable frequency drive. They are variable capacity, and they're super efficient. If you're planning on going solar, I definitely recommend a mini split because of soft start. All the motors are three-phase. They go, AC comes in, they have an inverter, it changes it to DC, and then they simulate an AC sine wave. So they can, by pulse width modulation, take and change the frequency to all the motors. So it doesn't just come on at 100%. Well, it's all going to come together soon, but yeah, I know I could. So we're going to get to that, but let's talk about heat sources real quick, okay? So different sources of heat. We got wood heat, okay? We got electric heat, okay? And we got gas heat, all right? And with gas heat, you've got LP, which is liquid propane, liquefied propane, and natural gas, okay? Liquefied propane, you have to have a tank to hold it. It's not very renewable, right? Natural gas, at least you get a line that comes to your house, okay? If I have a customer that has propane or natural gas, I always give them an option of a dual fuel. You know what dual fuel is? Does anybody know what that is here? You do? Oh, you do? Okay, cool. So a dual fuel, let's go to electric heat, and let's write this. It's a heat pump, okay, which works at around 35 degrees and up. Below 30 degrees, it can't gain heat from the outside air, works off electricity, and below 30 degrees, it needs to hit a balance point, okay? Balance point is where the load of the structure exceeds now the load or capacity of the equipment. So if you take this regular heat pump, okay, and then you attach it to this natural gas or this LP unit, now we don't have a backup that is something called heat strips, okay? I'm just giving you perspective. I'm giving you options, right? Life's about choices, so that's all you got is options. Make your choice. So always give an option of a dual fuel, right? The heat pumps are pretty efficient, but now we have something called mini splits, okay? Mini splits. When a unit comes on, it runs at 100% capacity, okay? So if it's rated for 30 amps, right? Then the unit that is not a mini split will just come on and pull 30 amps and then go right back on, okay? Not very efficient. But mini splits can go from 0 to 100, right? Because they have that VRF, that variable refrigerant flow. They can vary their capacity, which is amazing, especially if you're on a commercial rate, okay? Because some of us run businesses and we have a commercial rate, okay, and that's how we're charged for kilowatt hours, and some of us have a residential rate. So you gotta think about this when you're installing new equipment. Wood heat is, of course, the most sustainable, okay? How do we make gas heat sustainable? Well, we do gas logs, or we do an on-the-wall heater that takes an igniter, which is a battery. So it doesn't need electricity. When electricity goes off, then we don't have to worry about our heat because we either have the wood heat or we have the gas heat, which can be propane or natural gas, okay? So back to mini splits. If you ever buy a mini split, okay, you have 110 volt and you have 220 volt, okay? A little bit of advice. The higher the voltage, the lower the amps. So if you're ever going to buy a mini split online, do not buy a 110 volt mini split. If you already have one, I'm sorry, okay? Buy a 220 volt, half the current. It's going to take half the current to run. That goes for any appliance. That goes for anything. If you can make anything 220 to 110, do 220 all day long. If you want good backup sources of heat, make sure you go with wood. You know, something that's really cool is you can get a couple steel barrels for less than $25. I was just talking about this with somebody. You can get a kit online, Amazon, for like 50 bucks, okay? And it's a wood barrel kit. It comes with a door. You can actually take those two barrels and set them up on the stand that comes with it, and you can have yourself heat, okay? Couple steel barrels, some pipe, and this kit that you can get on Amazon. It's really awesome, okay? So does anybody have any questions so far? Yeah, go ahead.
I bought that kit.
Oh, cool.
And think maybe because of ignorance, it sucked.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to get it to keep from blowing smoke. Which now I just tested outside and put a chimney on it because I wasn't really comfortable because of my lack of information.
Okay, got it. So blowing smoke means you have the door, and whenever you lighted the fire, it was basically smoke was coming out the door, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I could never get it to stop. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So one thing you have to do, yeah. So one thing you have to do, let's just say, please make this look like something besides something crazy, man. It's just 2 barrels without some. Okay. So, this is the 1 barrel on the bottom, and this is the door, and you put the wood in here. Look at that log. Looks like a turd. All right. One thing you have to remember is, when you put the wood in here and say this is the pipe, okay, right here, you want your other pipe on the other side. Why? Because it makes it pull a natural draft. Okay? So I can't go and install this pipe right here and then have the second pipe right here. Okay? So, yeah, so it pulls, it just makes it pull right out. So keep that in mind.
Are you stacking those one above the other?
Yeah, that's right. So the kit actually comes with a stand, okay, and then one stand's right here, which holds the first barrel up, and the other stand will be in between the first barrel and the second barrel, okay? But you got to remember to put the position of the flue in between the first barrel and the second one. You got to offset it, okay? That when you start the fire, it'll naturally pull it on through there.
Good way to have a good source of heat. You can also couple this and make it a boiler. So you could do radiant floor heating, or you could put that coil in line with your air conditioner. We can talk about more sustainable. We got any questions? Anybody else have any questions?
I bought one that only did 1 barrel. Was that the problem?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That problem.
Okay, but did it come with 2 stands for another one?
No, it just came with 1 stand just to do a single barrel. It wasn't the double barrel like I've seen in a lot of YouTube videos. So.
Show me what kit you got. Let's talk about that after. Alright, so let's erase this for a minute. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about like a hot blast stove where you load it with wood and then it's got a little pump built in and it pumps that water into a coil. I love them, man. They're awesome. So there's these units, they're called like hot blast stoves, right? And they got this door and you can load them with wood outside. And then they have these 2 water pipes, right? So you can come inside your existing home's air conditioning system where the ductwork is, okay? And then let's just say, please let this be something that looks like something that just, I don't know, that they can relate to, my Lord. Okay, so this right here is water pipe into your ductwork. This is the water pipe out. And this right here is a coil that's made of probably copper, copper nickel. And whenever this temperature reaches, let's just say 100 degrees, you stack it with wood, it automatically turns on a pump. And that pump pumps the water in, and then what happens is, there's a little thermostat wire that goes to your unit or your thermostat, and it turns on the fan to your existing home's air conditioning system's blower, okay? So this right here provides you with free heat, except you have that blower, okay? But if you wanted to run a solar system and a little bitty blower motor, if it's 230, you're only looking at like 1 or 2 amps, versus a motor that's 110 and you've got 4 or 5 amps. So this is a good way that you can heat. Sometimes you can find these hot blast stoves that are scratch and dent, and then you get a really good deal. Some of these, I think owner's equity is like $3 grand though. Go ahead, brother. Okay, this is a good one. All right, so we're going to draw something amazing now. All right, so can solar efficiently run your heating and cooling? All right, so let's talk about furnaces for a second, because you cannot efficiently run a heat pump unless it's a mini split, okay? Because mini splits don't have something called emergency heat, all right? You take a 3-ton heat pump that does, because 3-ton will do 1,800 square foot, okay? 3-ton will do 1,800 square foot, and if it's a heat pump, and it's a regular heat pump, that means for the outdoor unit, I have a 30 amp breaker, okay? And then for the indoor unit, because I have heat strips, it's going to take another 60 amps. This is 90 amps total. Okay? If I wanted to have a solar system to run this, yeah, if I wanted to have a solar system to run this, I'd probably need a 20 kilowatt. Okay, which is crazy. Okay? So what you do is, you take and you do a mini split that, you just do a mini split, okay? VRF. Then what do you have for that 3-ton unit? You have 30 amps, okay? So you did away with the heat strips. The unit will efficiently heat down to 9 degrees outside before it starts to derate its efficiency. A heat pump, again, below 30 degrees. We have freezing, we have ice, we have snow, it sticks to the outdoor coil. Sometimes it can't freeze, even though it has defrost built in with sensors. It damages the unit. With mini splits, you're going to heat. So solar, I would couple it with VRF technology. You know, variable frequency drive. Does anybody know what variable frequency drive is? VFD? Okay. That's right.
You have wide pulses.
Yeah.
Electricity on wide pulses.
Yeah.
Shorter pulses to change
The hertz. That's right. So mini splits have VFD. Okay, they can just change the frequency. So yeah, if you're okay, so here's another thing we got to talk about. Gas furnaces. A gas furnace has a 15-inch breaker. Okay, it's got a number 12 2-wire. Okay, if you want to run a gas furnace off solar, no problem. No problem. If you are in the market for getting a gas furnace, there is 80%, there is 90%, and there's 100%. Okay? And furnaces are rated in something called AFU, Annual Fuel Utilization Energy. It's how much fuel they use. If you're in the market to get a new furnace, 80% has a metal vent, and it burns 80% of the fuel that comes to it. 20% it wastes. Not a lot of people know that. 90%, same thing. It wastes 10% of the fuel, it burns 90. 100% modulated. 100% of the fuel that goes to the furnace, it's going to use it. It's not going to waste much. So when you are in the market to get a new furnace, remember that. What's the difference in installation? PVC vents for 90% and up. 80% has metal because it's not condensing. So you need to make sure, and this is a lot of information really. Package units, who has a package unit outside your house? It's all self-contained, has everything in it. Package units, you can only get 80%, okay? 80% of that fuel is burned, 20% is wasted. With a split system, you can get more efficiency, okay? Because the highest efficiency that you can get in a package unit is 16 SEER, okay? 2-stage. All right? With a split, you can go upwards of 20 SEER. So just keep that in mind. Questions at this point?
How come you can get 100% PVC? Is that less heat coming out of the double?
All right, so 90% and above is a condensing furnace, and it has a primary and a secondary heat exchanger. The secondary heat exchanger is there for you to burn the rest of that, get it to a nice cooler temperature than that really hot temperature going out that metal vent for the 80% furnace, and it condenses, okay? So you can run it because it's condensing furnace. You can run it with PVC vent. It's not going to melt the vent because the temperature coming out is so much cooler than 80%. 80%, okay, has a heat exchanger in it. It looks like a butt. All right, 90% has a heat exchanger here, same size, and then it has a little bitty one. All right, so it's got two. That's the difference. You had a question?
How large of mini splits are there?
Okay, so mini splits, I need to erase this again. All right, mini splits come in wall mount, ceiling mount, floor mount, and ducted, okay? And you can put up to 16 units on one residential 5-ton system, okay? So you can put 16 indoor air handlers and then have one outdoor.
Does that mean 16 controlled zones?
16 air handlers, 16 controlled zones, that's right. So mini splits come in wall mount. You've seen them, those are the most prevalent out there is wall mount. Then you've got floor mount, okay? They're like on the wall, they're little consoles, and then ceiling mount. Ceiling mounts suck in the middle and blow around all four sides. I've done houses that were 3,000 square foot with one 3-ton 4-way cassette because foam is the way to go when you build it in a house, just because square footage and sizing too. So for residential sizing, say you build a house and you have standard insulation, it's 500 square foot per ton. But if you have a foam house, it's 1,000 square foot per ton. So let me put this in perspective. Say I have a 3,000 square foot home and it's standard insulated. I know I need 5 tons, okay? But if we foam insulate it, I only need 3. So, what questions do you have? Go ahead.
I have 2 furnaces on a private gas well.
Yeah.
The newer one is cutting out because the bathroom is getting full of soot.
Yeah. Your pressure's low.
Yeah, is there anything I can do with the furnace, like any adjustment, or do I have to do something else?
So, and this can happen a lot. Anytime you go get a propane tank filled up, you can actually have the regulator that being adjusted by the company, and it ends up dropping the pressure. And what happens when you have low gas pressure on a furnace is you create soot. And over time, it'll actually soot up to where it won't burn correctly. It'll actually blow the flame out. I've had this happen. What you need to do is you actually need to get a manometer and you need to reset your gas pressure. It's got to be burning if it's propane at 10, and then if natural gas needs to be at 3.5 inches of water column. So, but that's common. Is it propane? Oh, it's natural gas? And it's starting to soot up? Interesting. That's really interesting. Okay. Question. Who else had the next question? Go ahead.
Where does geothermal fit into this?
Oh, geothermal. All right. So I've done quite a few geothermal systems. Heat fusion is involved, where you heat fuse the connections together. The biggest thing with geothermal is owner's equity. You got to dig the ground up unless you want to have a dedicated well, because there's open loop and closed loop systems, right? With closed loop systems, I usually do horizontal. I don't usually do vertical, but vertical can save you a lot of your land being dug up, right? Because you can dig down. But horizontal, slinky loop is what I usually do. And I did a 6-ton unit. We buried 8,000 feet of 1-inch polybutylene pipe, and that was enough to handle that 6-ton unit. But here's the thing: you spend $10,000 on a geo unit, and then you spend $10,000 on piping and ground. Is it efficient? It's super efficient. In fact, they have geo units now that use mini split technology, VRF inverter. So, I mean, if you got the money, do it to it. The unit will last a long time. But you know, it's a lot more money, and I just think with the heat pumps now having VRF tech, why do I need a geo unit? Now, if I'm going to heat and cool my unit, my house for free and do it geo, that's great. Geothermal earth tubes coupled with like ERV, fresh air. Does anybody know what an ERV is? Anybody? Okay, an ERV is an energy recovery ventilator, and it brings in fresh air into your home, and then it removes the stale air from your home. It kind of mixes, and it's got this desiccant inside of it, okay? And as the air moves from the outside in, it dehumidifies the air as well. It's a box. They're made by Honeywell. They're about $1,000. I actually install them when I have foam houses, and there's a lot of gas appliances. And that's because CO build up in foam houses. Foam houses are like a tight envelope. Go ahead.
From the way they work, naturally act as dehumidifiers also?
Mini splits will dehumidify, but anything over 80%, the mini split will actually not dehumidify. They have a dry mode, but dry mode is only in cooling, you see?
Okay.
So, you know, go ahead.
Is the humidifier anytime you do a fresh air intake on just the foam house, or anytime you do the fresh air?
Okay, so the ERV has a built-in way of dehumidifying because of the desiccant that's inside of it, okay? But anytime I do a foam house, I recommend that the homeowner gets a little $200 dehumidifier from Lowe's, Hisense. Super simple. Then you set it 55%, 60, forget it, and you don't have to worry about humidity issues. But with foam houses, I've seen windows sweat, I've seen floors buck. Contractors don't actually know what they're doing with square footage sizing because they're treating foam houses like they were standard insulated. So you will run into that a lot. So it's good to know what you're doing. Go ahead.
I just have a acre farm.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be about 8 foot deep.
Oh, wow.
I was going to,
Slinky loops.
well, that's what I was thinking asking you about. At 8 foot,
Yeah.
even that pond, like it's good.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't dry up. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do it, and what I plan on doing is heat my greenhouse.
Oh, cool. That's a great way to heat a greenhouse. Yeah. Yeah, great idea, man. Oh, man. Ooh, that's a good question, brother. I've got a guide I can send you for Geo. And anybody that's curious and they want to learn about aquaponics, my name's Tad. and my channel name is Patty Digest. Don't laugh. Patty Digest. Go to my channel. Check out I do got like 900 videos on there. I teach people how to do HVAC. I teach homeowners how to know more about their air conditioning. I've got several playlists. HVAC tips for homeowners, HVAC tips for technicians, aquaponics. I got members only videos that will show you how to build aquaponic systems, maintain fish stocking densities, just all kinds of stuff. So how to feed them, don't feed them much. You'll clog up your system. Any questions? No questions? No.
Well,
Go ahead.
I've got one. So
Yeah.
the house that I've got under construction right now is it's sort of like a Wapati, I guess, if you're familiar with what that is. It's basically a structure that has an earthen roof that has a thermal mass underneath it that stays dry to help insulate and kind of absorb heat from the summer and cool. And then use that during the winter.
Yeah.
But they say it takes a few years to kind of get that leveled out. So I'm thinking about a mini split.
Yeah.
For like the summers because I'm North Alabama and it's miserable.
Yeah.
So mini split for like 900 square feet. What would you recommend? I know you said the 220 volt, but like what's the best thing to most efficiently on solar do 900 square feet?
500 square foot or less, 1 ton. All right. 1,000 square foot. Actually, let's go 1,200 square foot or less, 2 ton. All right. 1,800 square foot or less, 3 ton. And this is how you size. And that's pretty much for anywhere, and if you live up north, you're not going to use mini split anyways. Go ahead. Automatic transfer switches or manual? What are you asking me? Yeah. Just know a really good electrician. That way they do the right thing and they have the neutral wire and different things like that. They don't go in there and try to do 2 lines in the ground or something, I really know. I've installed a lot of brands, so I don't know. Generac's the most prevalent for me. That's the ones I've installed. You can't go wrong. You just got to know exactly what you want to run and what you don't want to run, and then you have to communicate that to the electrician very well. So that's it, really. Yeah. Especially if you don't have. The reason I tell you this is if you don't have inspection. Like if you live out of the city limits and you're not having inspection, okay, then definitely get a good electrician. Yeah, that way they do not burn your house down or burn your stuff down. Any questions?
Yeah, I think you answered. On that mini split, so it is for air conditioning too, and not
Absolutely.
just heating, not just winter, but summer.
It is for heating and cooling. Mini splits actually heat better than they cool. Most mini splits, when you turn them on heat, the indoor unit shuts down. The fan does not turn. You're like, my mini split's broken. But it's not. The outdoor unit comes on, it gets the coil temperature up to 99 degrees, and when the coil temperature reaches 99 degrees, then it opens the indoor fan. In cooling, it's the opposite. The indoor fan runs all day long, 24/7, pulls less than an amp. Outdoor unit has a 3-minute delay, comes on, and good to go. There's something just ran through my mind that I need to tell you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Cool bots.
Cool bots are fantastic. You want to build a cooler, you want to use a little window unit, use a cool bot. I actually put together a Deere cooler for a guy using a mini split and a Mr. Cool Bot. So they work really well.
Same square footage.
Okay, so I do have one on this. You need to take into consideration, okay? Anything that is 250 square foot or less, do not go over 1 ton. Do not go over 1 ton, okay? The reason I tell you this is because mini splits, if you have an obstruction in the front of it, it'll cause short cycling, okay? So we got a little room that's 100 square foot. We put a 2-ton unit in it. Unit comes on, air hits the back wall, circulates back in, shuts the unit down. So anything less than 250 square foot, go with a 1 ton. Now I'm going to teach you what tools you can use to be able to tell if your air conditioner is working properly. My AC turns on. It's 70 degrees in my house. What should be coming out of my supply register? 50 degrees. Normal temperature split from the return to the supply should be 18 to 22 degrees. If it's anywhere around there, you'll know your air conditioner is working. How do you do it? This is a little thermometer. So cute. That's it. You can get it offline, 20 bucks. Right? During the summertime, you just look at your vent. And then you're able to tell, hey, my air conditioner is working because it's 50 degrees or 70 degrees in my house. It's 50 degrees coming out, so you don't have to call anybody. Something that people run into all the time is hot and cold spots. Sometimes there's an attic door right above your thermostat. You keep wondering why your air conditioner is running all day long. Get an infrared thermometer, $20, $30 offline. Okay? Go in your ceiling around your attic space and see if it's 90 degrees there. Then you can help yourself. These are two tools I think you should have. Super cheap, but you can find out if you got, attic access door leaking, you got some windows leaking, they're starting to sweat, you're wondering why. Any questions? Go ahead.
I tore down, where Blind Village is on 31, that trailer park?
Yeah.
They were tearing down some duplex. My buddy was a construction guy doing it, so I came over there and got all the wood out of the duplex.
How's the one? Oh, that's a good question. The way you can install it yourself, if you're doing Mr. Cool, then you should have tutorials with Mr. Cool, right? But I mean, honestly, man, these units come with installation manuals, so everything is there. Like everything is there. With Mr. Cool, you don't have to have a vacuum pump. You don't have to have nitrogen. You don't have to have gauges. So it's a more do-it-yourself. If you're going to order a major brand like Samsung, Mitsubishi, and these brands where you have to have your flares being remade, and it's not a puncture system to where it's all there for you. Yeah. Yeah, man. You can really learn how to install these pretty easily with the tools, but buying the tools, are you wanting to buy the tools or not? That was something I asked you. Are you willing to do that? If you are, I can easily make a video and show you how in 10 minutes. Yeah, Ferguson one, you're right.
Right now, the price is good. Shipping containers. I've got a backhoe.
Yeah.
Bill there, I got 48.
Yeah, and be careful too. Look at them. Look at the controls too. This is what I tell people. If you're going to buy a mini split, look at the remote online if you can. If it looks like you can't even understand it, do not get it, please. Because I went to some houses and I can't even understand what the control works. It's not working, but I don't even know if it's what does what. So just be careful. I use Samsung. I love them. Super nice. I did a video on how mini splits work, and I'll probably do a DIY install for too long. Looking forward to that. So check out my channel. Yep. Yep, and you just comment, say I want your email or something, I'll give it to you before I leave, and we can connect, and I'll help you with that. So, absolutely. Any more questions at all? What's the time looking like? I want to hold Nicole back. I'm from here. Yep, lived here my whole life. I love it here. 9 minutes! I'm going to leave the rest for questions. Go ahead, Nick. I go 6 to 8 feet with all of my lines, and I read a consistent 55 to 65 degrees. 55 is great, but you got to remember, you got to have antifreeze. We use propylene glycol, so I use a flush cart. I have a flush cart. It's a cart that connects to it. That's how I'm able to get all the air bubbles out and everything, and then add my antifreeze. I would say 6 foot. For sure, but we go 6 to 8 foot. Yeah. How feet? Oh, 8 or 9 feet deep? Oh, a tool that will do that? Yeah. I think I have an idea actually on that. It's a K-type thermistor that you can just stick into a meter, and it's like a wire. So you could actually just tie that to whatever you could, shove in the ground. That would be what you need. I'll show you after I'm done. Okay, any other questions? Cool, awesome. What other questions you guys got?
Go ahead.
Your 50-degree readout, that was like right against the vent. Say I set my thermostat to 70, I put my thermometer right against the vent, it should read 50 at the vent.
So you want to just stick it down in the vent. This right here is for air temperature. This is for surface temperature, okay? So you'll read the air temperature. You want to make sure that this little needle right here is not touching any of the surface, because that's going to change it. But yeah, you just stick it in the vent and the air passes across it, and then you're able to get an accurate reading.
We're using an outdoor wood furnace for radiant heat through concrete floor of a shop area. Can you also cool using the radiant heat in your floors?
Absolutely, yeah. You could take and get a couple fan cool units inside your home in different places. And then those fan cool units will have a coil where that water will flow through. Okay, they'll have a zone valve where they open and close, and then they'll have a fan that passes the air across that. So you could actually do a couple zones, and then you could add some water lines in your home, in a basement. Yeah.
And that's for heating.
That's for cooling.
For cooling.
That's what your question was, right?
Yeah.
Cooling.
So
Okay.
would you have to do like geothermal? Where would you get the cold water from in the summertime?
Oh, for cold water, you could get the cold water from the ground if you wanted to. You could do a heat pump coupled with that, and you could create the cold air from that, or cold water from that. Let's see. There's a few ways, man. There's lots of technology now. You could build a refrigerator with a couple batteries and a pelter panel if you wanted to, and you could actually use a 12-volt battery to cool a refrigerator down, believe it or not. My dad built a few of them. There's lots of different things you can do now. It's unbelievable. And you'll see some of that. I'll be doing some of that. Who had the other question? Somebody else had it. Go ahead.
So the guy that installed my unit,
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
think most of the staff, I mean, you just know, so probably a new customer company, they know how to handle my warranty and all that stuff.
Yeah, and what you should probably do is you should probably get on the site for whoever your manufacturer is for your equipment, and they'll give you a dealer locator. So you'll actually be able to find from there who services my equipment, so that you don't have to call somebody and go, hey, will you offer me my warranty? You know what I mean? So that'd be the best option for you on that. What other questions? We got 5 minutes, folks. I'm not holding Nicole up.
You don't hold Nicole up.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I might get a sticker.
We're used to gas furnaces, and we just got a heat pump in our house that's no gas coming at all. So I know that we're supposed to do emergency heat when there's something.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that means. Like, what am I doing when I switch to emergency heat?
So what you're doing is, your whole unit, your heat pump it's 30 amps, right? Okay, and then when you take and you turn your heat strips on, you're burning 60. Okay, and what you're doing is you're actually passing the voltage through electrical resistance wires, and those wires get glowing red hot, and the air passes across it. It's a very, very, very inefficient way of heating, but unless you have a dual fuel where you can couple propane or natural gas as your auxiliary heat, that's the most common source of auxiliary heat or emergency heat. So, doubles. Yep, doubles. Every year people will cry on Facebook, my mail doubled. But they don't realize it's just this 1 month. And the thing that's good about you turning to emergency heat is when it's below 20 degrees and you have snow, ice covering your unit, it can damage your unit. So, I mean, it's better to run an emergency when it is below 20 degrees. Okay, just for what, a week, 2 weeks here? I don't know about where y'all are from, but, everybody.
Wood stove.
Wood stove, baby. All right, one more question. Go ahead.
So, mine's probably going to play onto this, but going back to heat pumps and that run auxiliary heat as a backup, when you fall below that 35-degree threshold, is it wiser to shut off the heat pump and run just auxiliary, or run them simultaneously, or what would be the best way to do that?
So, most of you that have heat pumps, you probably noticed there's something pop up on your thermostat and it says aux. That actually is emergency heat. It's running with your heat pump. For me, man, below 30 degrees, most units, the balance point needs to be hit. So for me, below 30, some people argue this though. They'll be like, you need to run your heat pump because that's an extra 5 degrees. But for me, man, I don't think for the conversion of kilowatts to the conversion of the output of the heat, I don't think it's worth it. Below 30, just kick it to emergency heat.
So even if it's 30 or, you know, between like 4 and 6 a.m., it should be on emergency heat?
If it's below 30, absolutely. Guaranteed, because it's below freezing.
I'm saying it's like for a few hours a day.
Oh, a few hours a day?
Yeah.
You know, it depends on how well your house maintains heat. You know, foam houses, you get the heat to 70 degrees in the foam house, you can shut the unit off for a day. You'll maintain heat. I've seen it happen. It's awesome.
So is it cost effective? What's the threshold for running auxiliary heat only, like minute wise? Like is it not efficient to run it for several hours, or like say run through the night? If it's 30 degrees or 25 degrees go through the night, I'm running basically just auxiliary heat and just have heat pump and go and shut off.
So residential and commercial rate. If you're on commercial rate, then there's peak demand hours, right? If it's a business, then you're getting charged way more for these few hours. But for residential, it's just amount of runtime. So it really doesn't matter. But then again, you can look at the weather. You know, when it's really, really cold at night, it's going to be harder for you to heat that home. So maybe during the day, turning it on a little bit would be good. Really appreciate everybody coming. Really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. And give me freedom. Give me freedom.
Freedom is best thing you've had.
Yeah, man, I'm talking about realest, one of the realest to try. My family, SOE, got the tools to survive. Yeah.